So why are you here on a Sunday afternoon? It's to get something you haven't got, right? It's to get the money which will give you what you want. That's generally it. And there's not a lot of people just want the money in the bank. It's what you can do with the money. And Abby's just gave you a detailed plan on how to get that money. My why is, as most of you know, was I'd never wanted to go back there again. Would you? Somebody says, oh, it looks great fun. Not every day. Not 24 hours a day. I never wanted to go back there again. See, as Mark Twain on the fear thing commented, I've been through some terrible things in life, a few which actually happened. Because we focus on we focus on our fears, right, and that holds us back. But 99% of them never actually happen anyway. Why is that? Why are we built like that? So you've got to develop the ability to overcome natural human thinking. It kind of goes like this, if you don't address it, right? You've got your fear. If you fail to take part in the new activities to gain in the knowledge, to take in the actions, which gives you experience, you're left with lack of experience, which only leaves you in the same state of ignorance, right? Am I right or am I wrong here? We're all in agreement, right? So, how do we get past it? Some of you have seen this before. It's part of our first book there, is Finding the Real You. And what I mean by that, is this the real you? It's sitting here today. When you was setting out your framework of your life as a kid, did you think you would be driving a Bentley or the car you drive today? Did you think it was a Ferrari? Did you think you was in a house or in the house you live in today? Did you think you'd have a better lifestyle than you've got? So, can we go back in there and find the real you? I believe we can. Let me go back to the fear bit, though. Fear makes us afraid of doing something that might benefit us. It makes us scared to take the action that will benefit you. Taking action will require us to move into the unknown, and that can be scary, right? The unknown is terrifying. Look, this was me, guys, and I kid you not. My fears were real, and I was absolutely shitting myself. Absolutely terrified, as you've probably heard. The first time I was asked to do a testimonial, I practiced for weeks. For 1 month to the next, my time is getting close to do my testimonial, and I left the room in the Norwood Hotel in Aberdeen, Sharon. I left the room and locked myself in the toilet. I was scared to come out. That's a fact. And I only came out once the meeting was finished. Couldn't do it. So the next time I thought, how stupid was that? So for the next month I practiced again. 10 minutes, the testimonial time. And I'm sitting there. And I felt my mouth drying up. I stood up and my brain sat down. I forgot my name. I forgot where I lived, and I forgot why I was doing. And I just made some noises and sat down. That was it. So the next month, I practiced again, but the next month I was ready. I had a glass of water there. Or I think it might have been a vodka and coke. And before I stood up, I go, right, I'm ready. And I managed to do about a minute without a stutter. And you know what? I started to kind of enjoy it. And now it's just part of life. In fact, the best day I ever had for speaking, best afternoon, pay I ever got for speaking was 8,600, which isn't bad for somebody coming off a fishing boat, right? But I had a big why then to do the speaking, apart from outside network marketing, of course. So, you see, if we give into our fear, we don't move forward. You're stuck where you are. We don't receive the benefit of what we avoid because of fear, nor do we gain the valuable experience that would make us better informed. And that's all it is taking the action to gain experience which makes you more informed in how to do the task, whether it's a phone call, a presentation, or a talk, or whatever. It's as simple as that, guys. And as Abby said, all this is today, by the way, is your homework. All you're doing is gathering notes for your homework. And I'll tell you, the people who make this, the money in this business, is the ones that do their homework. I used to spend hours and hours and hours, like Abby, and maybe I should get back to it, on the goal setting thing. I didn't realize I was actually setting a goal subconsciously when I was sitting on my fishing boat. And when I used to fish out the West Coast, the Concord used to come up the West Coast, turn away west where we was fishing, 110 mile into the Atlantic is where we used to fish. And then it would turn away, and I'd be sitting there in the wheelhouse looking, here it goes, waiting for a bang, bang, as it went through sound barrier. A couple of minutes later, you'd just hear a boom in the distance. And I used to think, one day, me and Hazel will be on that plane. Now, the state of fishing was in, we certainly wasn't going to be on it with the money we was making at the level I was at, because I had just a little fishing boat. It was only 60 feet. But you know what happened? A couple of years later, after I'd gotten out of that, was sitting in a conference in Birmingham. It's probably 6 years after I'd got out of that. I always used to think about it. It was sitting there, and Clean Easy says, whoever has the highest increase this year in the whole of the network will get a free trip in the Concord to New York. For 5 days in the Sheraton and Broadway, out to see the shows, and then down to Bahamas for 10 days. Now, that's a long time ago. And I says to her, we're going to win it. How can you win it? You've got to be best in the whole company. And I know Doogie had the same experience with the Sea Goddess, right, Doug? How can you win it? You've got to be the best in the same company. And the fact is, guys, nae us, nae me and Hazel, but because of Andy, Doogie, and Mike, and Ron, and Neil, and several others in the room, we won it by 51%. 51%. And the next year, we won the top qualifier again by about 2% or something. It's a bit closer, but there you go. But why did that happen? You know? It was my biggest goal to go on a plane, and it just happened. Strange how these things come about. Anyway, a result of remaining ignorant about this area of life, and ignorance almost always breeds more fear, making it much harder to push ahead and get things done. I'm going to come back and look at that again. So let's look at the fear thing. If you live in fear, if you didn't face it and sit down with it and analyze it and understand why you've got these fears, weaknesses, it develops more weakness. Agreed? It builds a prison around you. It limits your expectations. It paralyzes you into routine. This is my little comfort zone. I'm not speaking to this guy. I always wanted to hear lunch with a billionaire, right? How can I do that? Oh my God, what do you say? How do you sound interesting? I'm terrified. I'll come back to that. It disheartens you. And fear can actually create sickness.